Let's bring in Florida Congressman Michael Waltz, an Afghanistan war veteran and a member of the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, thank you so much for being here today. I want to hit first on this amendment that made it through on Friday out of the committee that you sit on. And what I'm curious about is we've seen over the past few weeks the administration saying one thing while Americans watch something very different on their phones and on their TVs. What makes you think that requiring the Pentagon to be more transparent in plans going forward will have any teeth?
Well, we're going to continue to demand these answers. It's bipartisan. We have to, this will be part of law as part of the defense bill. But at the end of the day, it is enormously frustrating to see Secretary of State Blinken essentially shrugging his shoulders and saying, we'll get around to it. You know, it may not happen today or tomorrow. Well, that's not helpful to the Americans that are in hiding right now, their families, our allies that are being hunted down door to door. My staff was just in touch with some this morning. There are planes ready to go that are private sector chartered planes ready to get them out, and they can't get our own State Department to give the appropriate clearances and do the right kind of coordination with the Taliban to let them take off. So this is just, it's unconscionable, and frankly, it's unforgivable. So demanding at least a plan and some answers on how we're going to get Americans out, how we're going to get our allies out, and what this term over-the-horizon counterterrorism really means now that we're about to have a terrorist superstate on our hands is the least we can do.
Is there anything that can be done to force the Secretary of State's office to be more forthcoming as well? Is this just the Pentagon, or is this something that you can move forward with Secretary Blinken? And the reason I ask that is that I was talking to another member of Congress whose office was trying to help a former Army Ranger interpreter get his family out. He said he'd saved Americans' lives, and now his family is waiting to be hunted down by the Taliban. But from what they've experienced dealing with all the different departments, is the bottleneck is the State Department.
Well, that's right. Ambassador Khalilzad, their point man on all of this, and Blinken should both resign, in my view. This has been an absolute debacle, and we have left Americans behind, which is un-American, despite the president's promises. But what they should be doing going forward is working as a public-private partnership with these various grassroots veterans organizations that have had to step into the void, congressional offices that have been trying to provide them some kind of official push as well, because state and defense, haven't been able to get it done. So we can work together. We don't have to be at odds here, but we need, these planes need clearances, and they need the official cover of the State Department to assure these countries where they're going to land that they're not going to have a refugee crisis on their hand, that the United States will process these people and move them onward. And without that, we're stuck, and Americans are stuck. And that is, again, it's outrageous.
And Secretary Blinken did address Americans who are still stuck in Afghanistan. He appeared to try to clean up a little bit some of the statements that the Biden administration has made this week with regard to the people stuck there, essentially, according to their critics, that it was kind of their fault because they didn't heed the warnings. Take a listen to the Secretary, and I'll get your response.
Most of the remaining American citizens are dual nationals whose home is Afghanistan and whose extended families live there. So it's no surprise that deciding whether or not to leave the place they call home is a wrenching decision.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's a bunch of garbage. I mean, let me be blunt, because I can tell you the people that we are talking to are scared. They're desperate to leave. They very much have wanted to leave. They were trying to when the Kabul airport was open, and they're still trying to now. And saying, well, we sent you some emails 19 times, while at the same time, government officials across the administration were saying everything's going to be fine. And then within that email, it basically says, well, you have to get overland, cross-country, through Taliban checkpoints to the airport. The U.S. government cannot provide for your safety. You know why they couldn't provide for your safety? Because we had pulled all of our helicopters and our military assets out and shut our bases down before we got Americans out. So, that's just, it's a weak and feckless excuse. And when all of these groups keep asking me, veterans, Gold Star families, families of people left behind, where's the accountability? Who is going to raise their hand and say, I screwed up, I take responsibility? You can't say the buck stops with me and then proceed to blame 5 other people in the same breath. And we have seen zero accountability from this administration. I tried during the defense bill to enter into a motion, at least that we have no confidence in Biden as commander in chief. And the Democrats were outraged. Well, you know who should be outraged are those families of those people that were left behind, and those Gold Star families of 13 service members who were put in an impossible position to try to defend Kabul airport while also evacuating people. So we'll continue to demand accountability, but this has been pretty underwhelming from the administration and really kind of apathetic and heartless.
Meantime, all of those people are waiting. Congressman Mike Waltz, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate it.
All right.
Mike.